I mean, you can get kicked out of the military or dishonorably discharged and still become a police officer. And
Yeah.
and there's really, I mean, there's no wall between those two things. And a lot, frankly, a lot of the bad behavior that comes from, especially big inner city departments, from cop killings, aggressive behavior. A lot of those officers have a background in either being, dishonorably discharged, they've been let go from the military for violent behavior, they didn't pass a psych test, and they can just go ahead and
And let
join the
me tell
police.
you, that shit's hard to do. Getting kicked out, I mean, more people get a big chicken dinner than a dishonorable.
Okay.
What does that mean?
Yeah, we don't know that
Bad
term.
conduct discharge.
Oh, say it again.
A big.
Big chicken dinner, bad conduct discharge.
Oh,
Holy shit.
here we go.
Big chicken dinner. Num 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 num.
Okay, I'm going to use that as a moving on point. Hey, hi everybody.
Hello.
Josh D. Oh, I've saluted you as a way of indicating of this beginning of section 2 of the Project 2025 document. Welcome to the Project 2025 Emergency Book Club Comedy Podcast Project. I'm one of your hosts, Josh Donato. I'm joined by Cori Stewart, comedian, acting. You're not acting attorney general, working lawyer.
No, I wasn't. I was in Illinois. But now I am a nonprofit woke warrior.
Yes, the worst kind.
I do housing work at a nonprofit. So.
And we're joined by Billie Jo Gillispie,
Hello.
a comedian, and you were affiliated with.
I'm a Marine.
And are you currently a Marine?
I am currently discharged, but you don't give up the title.
Okay, it's like being an alcoholic, I guess.
No, it's not like it is being an alcoholic.
Right. No, I'm just saying, as a recovering alcoholic, even if you're sober a while, you still say you're an alcoholic. So it's
Once it's in your blood, it's there. You don't get rid of it.
And speaking of being in the blood, welcome Derek Sheen. I don't know what that analogy was.
Oh, thank you. Also recovering alcoholic. Hello.
Oh,
Forever.
are you?
Oh, yeah.
Look at
I
that.
have I'm drinking a tall boy of Diet Coke. You guys are all welcome. Hello.
All right. Yeah. Currently based in Seattle, Washington, I believe. Yes.
Yes.
One of the centers of the woke wars.
We are in the PNW. We are, Portland and Seattle. We are the center of wokeism. The cities are on fire.
Colorado. I checked that.
It's on fire. They're all on fire.
Yes.
Everything's on fire and destroyed. Cars in the streets. It's like RoboCop.
Yeah. Well, I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, so I feel like I can safely say that mine is the only vote that really counts. Okay. Hello. Welcome. Thank you, Electoral College. Man. I'm just saying, it's they only care about the swing states, and it's why I moved here. Okay, hello, welcome. Yeah, so we're handling the Department of Defense, Department of Homeland Security, and Department of State. So this is a blockbuster.
I already respect you guys for having been able to go through that sober. That's a tough read. I couldn't do it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, I'm sober, but I'm still taking a lot of pills. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
That's a joke. I'm kidding. I definitely will need Advil after we get through this. Oh my God.
All right, let's just get into it. The Department of Defense is a deeply troubled institution.
Yeah.
The military is all under Department of Defense. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, just reality check here. The Department of Defense has emphasized leftist politics over military readiness. Is that true?
Well, the rhetoric is just like inflammatory. Like it's meant to bemoan the state of Democratic leadership. But I would say even during the Obama administration, like we were drone striking the shit out of lots of places all over the world, and it would be hard to say that is the left's policy.
No, I think those drones were pretty woke, if you ask me. Billie Jo may have something to say here.
Obama was a lot more center than a lot of people wanted him to be.
Yeah,
You know,
for sure.
and the fact that he did take care of business militarily is part of why the really left didn't like him.
I do find an issue at the beginning of this that I thought was very interesting, and that is that they only quote this part of the Constitution, which is to provide for the common defense. They leave out the rest of that, which is also very important in context.
Okay.
Which is to promote the general welfare, right?
Ah.
And for secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, right? Like there's a lot in there that's not just about the military. That part is very important. That it's not just the common defense, it's general welfare. That means everybody, right? Everyone is under the umbrella, but when you dig in here, it certainly doesn't include everybody.
I think maybe general welfare, general schmelfare. That's me.
Posterity, schmosperity.
Exactly.
So easy to say.
You know, as you read down through here, they take the guardrails off for how things are appropriated. It really sounds like they're making it easier to funnel stuff into their private accounts.
Yeah.
Privatization of the military is a big part of this, right?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
it seems interesting too, especially this part of the Project 2025 is precipitated on the Afghanistan withdrawal, which is, I think, what they use as their catalyst for calling for these changes in the military, which I think we all kind of know was set up
Totally
as a
set up.
failure from the beginning. The first 3 months of Biden's administration, here you go, we're going to leave you with this, and we're going to leave you with a pandemic that we didn't handle, so that we have something to run on. But this whole chapter seems like it's based on that idea that, like, hey, because of Afghanistan, we've really got to take a look at how we're doing things now. Our military's weak. You took the brakes out of the car and then complained that the brakes didn't work, and it's got to be the manufacturer's problem. Maybe we shouldn't have brakes on cars anymore. That seems like that's probably the problem. It definitely starts to read very dubious as we get deeper into this, I think.
All right. Well, there's one thing I want to read. War will continue to be the most stressful and consequential human endeavor. The most powerful weapon systems still remain the 6 inches between the ears of our citizens and the strength of their hearts and content of their souls. First of all, 6 inches between our ears, that's sizeism. I mean, let's just call it out. Hashtag not all brains. Okay.
Yeah, my head's only like this small because it's cold out.
Exactly. I think the most stressful and consequential human endeavor might just be our decision to read all 922 pages of Project 2025. It's certainly stressful, and if we get 60 or 70 views, maybe the most consequential human endeavor. It's just a thought. Priority number 1, reestablish a culture of command, accountability, non-politicization, and war-fighting focus. Is that
So
I'm honestly asking, Billie Jo, would you?
One thing I've always found in the military is it's very non-political.
Right.
I have never seen that to be a problem in the military.
Okay.
I think that's just one of their nice little, it sounds good. It makes it sound like we're doing something when we're basically saying, do what you've been doing for the last 200 years.
non-politicization means not necessarily promoting women or whatever, and not basing it on woke kind of criteria for
The quotas have existed for the rank structure since and around Vietnam timeframe, and the reason for that is to make sure that, I mean, yes, it says X amount of Hispanics will be promoted to each rank, this rank, that rank, but those have always existed to fight against racism, because there's a lot of people there who would have Hitler's wet dream around them. I don't think it should go away. I don't think we've progressed far enough yet that it's not still necessary.
It's another thing that's kind of like end capped in there with things that maybe sound good. Like, well, war fighting focus for me doesn't sound good, but command accountability sounds good.
But that
Holding,
already exists.
right. So that sounds good, but
They
it's
just,
it's kind of it's camouflaging non-politicization,
uh-huh.
which I think in this document means um, regressing in a
Well,
lot
I,
of
I think
Well,
ways.
there's a lot of places where I see this document describing regression.
feel like the word non-politicization is actually doing a lot of heavy lifting in that sentence,
Yeah.
because I think that it is coming from two places. One, when they mention establishing a culture of command accountability, I believe that that is coming out of the first Trump administration, when the biggest roadblocks to Trump being able to do whatever he wanted was General Milley. Where the
Mhm.
generals and lieutenants that were standing in the way of him shooting protesters.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's
Going like starting a war with China, sending troops into Iran, and there were things that he wanted to do, like using nuclear warheads. At one point, he
yeah,
threatened Iran to just turn them into glass, and his generals were like, "Hey, we don't do that. We also don't shoot Americans," and that pissed him off. And I think the Heritage Foundation, part of the whole concept of taking the guardrails off, is to provide the president with full accountability to do whatever they want without anybody getting in the way. So I look at non-politicization as them wanting to remove anybody who may stand in the way. There's no top-down leadership roles anymore, and that's what I think the non-politicization means, is that we don't want another side. We don't want a second. We don't want equal balance. And you're seeing that. I mean, you see that when you read through this. You see how they're slowly trying to persuade everyone to the idea that, like, the military should be a privatized fighting force of trained killers. Nobody with feelings, nobody with thoughts. Empathy should be completely removed, and they should have no questions as to the authority and the leadership. And we get rid of the people who are in the middle, who stop the president from telling the troops, "Hey, just go into Washington Square with guns blazing, go into Minneapolis and shoot protesters, go into Portland, shoot protest." Like, that is where I think a lot of the genesis of this came from, was out of the fact that they want to have unlimited resources to use the military as their own private security force. It's what happens when we start losing focus and become more of a authoritarian regime. Is the military is the first line of defense in protecting those ideals, and we become secondary, which is why the threat of DEI, what they keep using, is, I mean, that's why they want to destabilize that and get rid of, build the army full of white people, white poor people. It's much easier to tell them that they're being screwed when you have other people who have a different opinion out of the way. And it doesn't pass a smell test for the military. It passes the smell test for an authorized police force. And I don't know. I just my 2 cents.
Okay, I want to blow through these priorities. Priority number 2: transform our armed forces for maximum effectiveness in an era of great power competition. I mean, I don't know what to make of that. That could be good or bad.
Great power competition is the argument that we keep hearing from the right, is that our military isn't strong anymore, that they're weak,
Right.
and that they can't fight, and that we keep losing because they don't have a killer instinct, and we need to get rid of anybody who has feelings. I mean, I don't know what most of those people who say that have never served, I assume. So they have an idea that the military is just Rambo.
Reading through this, I would say a good third of the contributors of this section have not themselves served, and the others are the ones who were flashing the white power sign in the command photos.
Yeah.
And also, it's this nostalgia for an America that didn't exist.
I mean,
It's like
it's Trump.
promulgated by white supremacists to
Back when
like
people
as a
like me
callback
had
to
to hide to serve.
It's Trump
Yeah.
opening his rallies with the beginning of Full Metal Jacket, thinking that that is how the military is that it's the most anti-war film I've ever seen. But his idea of the military is just screaming, name calling, and belittling. And
But
he's
that's
like,
only
that's
13
strength.
weeks.
What did you say?
But that's only 13 weeks.
Yeah. And if I remember correctly,
Shorter for the other services. For us, it's 13 weeks.
I think
And
that's
they're
only
not
13
strong.
weeks is my favorite quote thus far on this podcast. Okay, this might open up a can of worms, but I'm just curious about this. I mean, hey, this is all we're all about the cans of worms, right?
That's why we're here.
Okay, Department of Defense is the largest part of our federal government. This is from the very beginning of Department of Defense. It has almost 3 million people serving in uniform or a civilian capacity throughout the world and consumes approximately $850 billion annually, more than 50% of our government's discretionary spending. Now, a lot of the statistics that are quoted in this document, I would just tend to dispute, but I bet this one's actually a real statistic. So I'm curious to hear from Billie Jo. Do you, as a military person who served and still calls yourself a Marine, pardon me, do you think that more than 50% of our government's discretionary spending should be spent on defense?
No.
Okay. I didn't know. I thought I thought, oh, maybe she'll say
The
yeah.
war machine is awfully greedy. It will eat everything we give it.
Okay. Well, and I mean, something that occurs to me is even in terms of physical bodily threats, not how much are they if they're working on so-called war fighting, pardon me, how much are they missing the very real threat of domestic white supremacist terrorists? You know what I mean? Like, they're not
Where do you think those domestic white those white power fools get their training in the military? I never realized until this last year that it is part of the progression that they go through, until I saw in a veteran or in a public chat forum somewhere where somebody said, get your training elsewhere. The military's not good enough anymore. So basically, that's when I realized why we're having such a recruitment low, because the future militia members have ceased to get their training through the American military. And my attitude now that I realize that is, good riddance, fuckers.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to bring up that idea that, like, because I mean, as far as I understand, the more Americans are killed every year by domestic terrorists than foreign terrorists, right? I mean,
yes.
If you count all the kids who died in school shootings in some of those,
the kids
right?
running around with kid killers are the problem. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
50% of our 50% of our government's discretionary spending is Senate appropriation bills to allow private corporations R&D, weapons expansion, private contractors. I mean, that money's definitely not trickling down to the people who are serving.
They just don't give that to the soldiers in a big wad.
And none of it, right? That's why they're using food stamps. Most of that money goes to private contractors like Elon Musk. Right. I mean, Musk is a defense contractor with a level 4 security clearance who probably makes a couple billion or better off of our government and hasn't produced anything. We've seen the Senate pass appropriations bills for defense spending that was a 30% increase over the previous 5 years, and not pass infrastructure. There's and further into this chapter, they talk about expanding our nuclear armament.
Yeah. They're sitting there talking about, we need new modern tech, we need new stuff, nuclear. I'm like, wait, what happened to going forward?
Right.
I also think that part of the kind of conservative view of domestic terrorism or white people terrorism is that's a reason not to defund the police. They would allocate, we've talked about like the separation of or like choice in or self-governance. And so domestic terrorism becomes a state by state issue rather than a nationwide issue, right? And a reason not to defund the police, even though the police are.
I don't feel like they're willing to even cop to the existence of domestic terrorism. I mean, it's minimized. It seems like they really do not acknowledge.
If we want a local police force that can take care of it, you have to continue to fund the police and not like make sure that people an educational system that supports teaching people about like class
resolution
issues and I don't know, all kinds of things that leads to people not feeling disempowered and like they're getting othered or whatever and then going and killing a bunch of people.
I mean, you can get kicked out of the military or dishonorably discharged and still become a police officer. And there's really, I mean, there's no wall between those two things. And frankly, a lot of the bad behavior that comes from especially big inner city departments, from cop killings, aggressive behavior. A lot of those officers have a background in either being, dishonorably discharged, they've been let go from the military for violent behavior, they didn't pass a psych test, and they can just go ahead and join.
Let me tell you, that shit's hard to do. Getting kicked out, I mean, more people get a big chicken dinner than a dishonorable.
Okay.
What does that mean?
Yeah, we don't know that
Bad
term.
conduct discharge.
Oh, say it again?
A big
chicken dinner, bad conduct discharge.
Oh,
holy shit.
Here we go.
big chicken dinner. Nom 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 nom.
Okay, I'm going to use that as a moving on point. And then if you read this section, for the Department of Defense, and I think even the Department of State, I would say that if you were to read this section and take a shot every time the word China came up, they're laughing because they've read this. You would be I think legally dead within 10 pages. I mean,
but they said it so much that I heard Gina in my mind.
This is on bottom of page 128. Strengthen America's defense industrial base. So the first item on that list says, replenish and maintain U.S. stockpiles of ammunition and other equipment that have been depleted as a result of U.S. support to Ukraine. Are we running out of ammunition?
No.
Okay.
Have we gotten rid of stuff that was probably within 10 years of expiring anyway? Yes.
Okay.
So
we gave them hand-me-downs, basically. All right. So these are your sister's tanks. You can wear them now. Okay, it's 133. This is, again, I'm turning to you, Billie Jo, just because, or Derek, who seems to know way more than anybody should about all this stuff.
I'm loving Derek.
Yeah, no, it's funny because I talked to Derek about being on this episode, and he said he'd read up, but he apparently read up like even before we had ever talked, which is
such a junkie for this stuff.
It's crazy.
I love weapons. Oh no.
This, yeah,
oh,
okay.
No.
This is, it's just there's something about this phrasing that sticks out to me, and I don't know if it's. Again, I don't know if this is good or bad. 133, end informal congressional notification. Informal congressional notification or tiered review is a hindrance to ensuring timely sales to our global partners. The tiered review process is not codified in law. It is merely a practice by which the Department of State provides a review of prospective arms transfers before Congress is formally notified. I feel like I'm pro notification just in general, right? That just means more communication. DOD
I mean, it just sounds like the party of deregulation, though, is all about deregulating these things and making it easier because it takes time, it costs money, and it also has accountability attached to it.
Yeah,
And
which is what they claim to
They
want.
want none of that.
Yeah, there was a section about expanding the power in our last episode, using executive orders to expand accountability or regulation. But that's just talking about how the president can use that to fuck people to like expand his power and like big brother people. But no, when it's when we're shuffling out weapons or whatever, using the newest and greatest thing that hasn't been tested, and let's do it real quick. And yeah.
Here, Lance Corporal, go shoot that. Let's see what happens.
Okay.
I'm not good with that.
All right, we're in the DoD personnel section. Restore standards. This is page 135. Restore standards of lethality and excellence, which is an ominous heading for a paragraph. Lethality and excellence. Okay. Entrance criteria for military service in specific occupational career fields should be based on the needs of those positions. Okay, good so far. Exceptions for individuals who are already predisposed to require medical treatment, for example, HIV positive, or suffering from gender dysphoria, should be removed, and those with gender dysphoria should be expelled from military service. Physical fitness requirements should be based on the occupational field without consideration of gender, race, ethnicity, or orientation, which is in direct conflict with the previous sentence, right? Am I going crazy? That it's like the exact opposite of the previous sentence, right?
HIV positivity, they still in their minds link that to that's blame it on the queers.
Why would they? Here's the thing. Why would they use those two things as an example for predisposed medical treatment when it's not diabetes?
Yeah.
Or bone marrow issues, sight, hearing loss, allergies. Those are also predisposed, but they went for HIV and gender dysphoria, which already tells you what the target of this is, right? Is to attack.
It's us.
It's othering against gender because they don't consider trans people. I mean, that's 100% of what this comes down to.
I mean, I just think that diabetes isn't as good of a dog whistle. That's all.
It really is. Yeah. It doesn't sound good, but why would they leave? I mean, it just tells you what their messaging is they're looking to ostracize.
Yeah.
I mean,
and people who are willing to fucking serve their country, but they don't care about that. I think these are a large percentage of these people have never served, and their concept is from Hollywood and fucking their grandfather's war stories. And they have a predisposed idea of what the military is.
I mean, DEI is a real thing, and there are. I mean, I from what this says, I'm assuming there is such a thing as a DEI office in the military, and they're just saying, just get rid of that because we don't need.
Yeah, they're trying to.
We don't need to include everybody in the military.
Yeah,
which is stupid. Why would you not want to have everybody who wants to do it?
It's a volunteer service, right?
Because
I mean, right now
if
it's a volunteer
little bitty
service.
me did it, little bitty gay me, then what this 6'3" mountain of a football kid who thinks what I'm doing is special somehow sees it as being diminished by the fact that I did it too.
So part of this is that they want to eliminate the things that help people communicate with each other and just and bond with your fellow soldiers, right? I mean, I just have to say, I'm still reeling from finding out that you're gay, Billie Jo, because
Yeah, right.
this is the first I'm hearing of it, and
it is eye-opening.
I had no idea. This part about eliminate Marxist indoctrination and divisive critical race theory. Is there a lot of Marxist indoctrination in the military, Billie Jo? Just curious.
No. But anything that would actually push us forward as far as social equity and equality, they see as Marxist.
Sounds pretty Marxist.
This is also part of their anti-academic, anti-college,
Anti-expert.
woke college. Yeah, is they see tenured academic professionals, professors, as liberal Marxist indoctrinators,
which is crazy because the people who wrote this, the pedigree of the people who wrote this, like that's
they went to fucking
well,
Oxford,
I mean, they
Yale.
are Ivy League educated idiots. So then
they're not idiots, they're
tenured...
dicks.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
That's the thing I said last time. They're not
idiots.
stupid. They're just they're brilliant. These Ivy League educated people are using this us against them jargon for regular voters or whatever.
Right. And saying that we're under attack.
We're doing this for
folks.
you. This is for your protection.
Mm-hmm.
This is
okay. Under the last section, reverse policies that allow transgender individuals to serve in the military, and the use of public monies for transgender surgeries or to facilitate abortion for service members should be ended. Which, I mean, I think if a lady wants to keep shooting at the enemy, she might need an abortion. That's just my 2 cents. I don't know. They just figured they'd throw abortion in there for the hell of it.
How many times have they tried to?
Sorry, what?
When I got raped and I became pregnant with the baby while I was in the military, I looked at my options, and let me tell you, they made damn sure to let me know that if anything went wrong, if I had an abortion, they would get me for destruction of military property.
Okay.
so sorry.
If that,
I'm so sorry. That's
Shit.
awful.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was raped by my armorer, and yet
I'm so sorry.
there's no care or concern from the higher ups when it comes to women dealing with an unwanted pregnancy.
Well, that was before the Marxists took over, Billie Jo.
Right? The Marxists would have made sure I had access.
The Marxists the Marxists would have made you do it just because they make people have abortions, I think. Is that what Marxists do? I'm just guessing.
I've never actually met one
Okay.
that I know of.
We're out here.
Yeah.
It's really.
I'm sorry to bring the room down.
Oh no.
Oh no! It's
Obviously,
actually
it's more than
Real
that.
life.
No,
I literally was going to ask.
Given the
About
subject
that.
matter, it's a bit of an upper, actually. So
Right?
it was
Unregistered sex offenders. Yes, that's an upper.
nuclear deterrence, page 155. I'm working on my segues, people.
Good.
So nuclear deterrence. I don't know. The bullet points are, they mentioned China, Russia, North Korea, and Iran. And the Iran part just says Iran is inching closer to nuclear capability. Yeah, it'd be weird if we only could have had like some kind of agreement with them. I don't know.
If only.
If only there was like
had existed and still does.
We've already reached the level of deterrence, and I don't understand why. This is old school thinking for these guys to go back to, I think this has. I bet if we dig in more, it has to do with China and Iran, but it's so weird to me that they would think that we need to expand our nuclear capabilities when just having cutting edge nuclear technology is the biggest deterrent. Possessing, 2,500 more ICBMs that's a deterrent for everybody.
I mean, the only thing that would explain wanting to make more nuclear weapons is if there were, I don't know, some kind of group of companies that might profit from it.
Yes.
I don't know. Do you think
the
anybody's
ones
making
that are
any
gonna
money
profit
here?
from
I mean-
the deregulation?
I mean,
Like-
there are very wealthy people who make a lot of money on this.
No.
And they're all buddies with people who wrote this.
Yes. Okay, here's a part that I think that Derek was referring to earlier. This is top of my page 157 and page 125 in this document. Under Restore the Nuclear Infrastructure, the United States must restore its nuclear infrastructure so that it is capable of producing and maintaining nuclear weapons. Okay, maintaining, sure, but producing, I think we just addressed that. So, item 1, accelerate the effort to restore plutonium pit production. I don't know anything about plutonium pit production, but it just sounds scary to me.
Yeah, living
That's
close
what-
to a Superfund site, it sounds scary to me too.
We also should get more children into mining because I feel like they could really get in there. They'll get in there with those little hands and grab it. No child labor laws.
Okay. Okay, I don't know. Okay, arms control, missile defense. If anything jumps out at you here, strengthen homeland.
Reject proposals for nuclear disarmament.
Say it again.
Reject proposals for nuclear disarmament that are
What?
contrary to the global bolstering of deterrence.
Yeah, the goal of bolstering deterrence. So, okay, are there proposals for nuclear disarmament that are contrary to the goal of bolstering deterrence? I mean,
not
isn't
that I've ever seen.
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah. So it's
We're
And
never
why would
going
you-
to go down to 0 nuclear weapons.
it's just
Who is trying to bolster deterrence? Like that? What is the goal? What that doesn't? That just seems like it. It seems like business speak where
It is.
You know, nobody has proposed reducing our nuclear arsenal, which is a problem. But also, no one has argued for expanding it because we're being outpaced.
right.
And I think this is a problem that they have self-created a problem
Yeah.
in order to come up with a self-created solution, which is, you know, empowering companies that want to explore plutonium mining, lithium mining, you know, drill baby drill. I mean, that's
And drill baby drill by babies. Cori
by
Stewart for
babies.
president.
Baby drilling is
2028.
what they want to say. Baby drill, baby drill.
Wow. Cori
Hey,
hates
if they could
babies.
put a baby to work and save money, they would do it.
All right.
And babies, when we can produce more babies, that's not a problem.
Yeah, you can always get more babies.
Yeah.
Radiate those little motherfuckers.
It's really hard to get more grown-ups. That's the problem.
All right. Well, that is speaking of grown-ups. Now, here's the main headline here. Which I didn't know. I knew about wanting to do away with the Department of Education, but here's first sentence of the primary recommendation of Ken Cuccinelli, who was responsible for the family separation policy from the Trump administration. He testified in Congress, and he was the guy who's saying, like, yeah, we might, you know, if there's kids who are receiving life-saving treatment, like, they might just have to fuck off back to wherever they came from. So that prince, Ken Cuccinelli, first sentence of his section: our primary recommendation is that the president pursue legislation to dismantle the Department of Homeland Security. Now, this is an agency, a cabinet position that did not exist before 2001. So I don't necessarily have any, huge feelings about its existence, but it basically is asking that the border protection be combined with ICE, and then the immigration and customs enforcement, and then they're going to take all the parts of it and break it up and put it into other areas, and they want FEMA to be moved to the Department of Interior, break up the Secret Service and move part to the protective part to the DOJ, and the financial enforcement element to the Department of Treasury. They want the TSA to be privatized, which is
Yeah.
We don't
this
need
is private industry creeping into our federal offices, especially combining the Secret Service with the DOJ, breaking that into three parts, allowing the TSA to be privatized is essentially just letting Delta, Alaska, letting these huge corporations manage themselves, which is what Reagan wanted to do originally, and break up the union. They want their own system of governing and management. I mean, look how much they want to move things into the DOJ, and what that would do is, I think, that would truly destabilize the power of the Department of Justice to be its own autonomous, agency for oversight, for enforcement of federal law, enforcement of oversight of the, things like Senate and congressional rules, laws, investigating the president for crimes. Things that they don't want them.
That'll never happen. The president commit crimes? Come on,
Well,
Derek.
I'm just saying, what if it ever happened? It hasn't happened yet. But what if it ever
it's theoretical.
And I don't want to get all Alex Jones here, but the whole idea of combining, when you take U.S. Customs and Border Protections, and then include ICE, and then include USCIS, and then include Office for Refugee Resettlement, Department of Justice, all under one umbrella, that sort of seems like what you'd want to do when your plan is to not deport 15 or 20 million people, but to round up 15 to 20 million people and resettle them into an area that can be managed by 100,000 employees, which is sort of like, this looks like the birth of an internment camp plan when you have all of these things under one umbrella, which when we know that the Heritage Foundation at some point in this document is 100% about rounding up immigrants and illegal immigrants for deportation, which we know it's not physically possible.
No.
And
that means that you have to have a managing body to oversee how those people are managed when they're under occupation.
But you're right.
But first and foremost, practically impossible. I mean, just impossible to implement. Deportation of 10 million people.
But when you have a bigger force, when you include ICE in the Department of Justice, now you have Immigration and Customs Enforcement with all the guardrails off, because now they can do their own
and the National Guard to help.
Right. And that's the door-to-door, which Trump has mentioned already, that the idea is to privatize some of these, the enforcement agency to go door-to-door along with the National Guard in every state. They want to go and knock on your door and see if you have anybody hiding in your home, and they want to arrest them, because there's no other feasible way for them to round people up other than to do searches of private properties. And in order to do that, the DOJ's got to be on board with signing off on, suspending constitutional liberties and constitutional rights. And that sort of, all of that in one umbrella seems like a scary first step to allowing that to happen.
So this is like your gay frogs.
Yes.
Well,
yes, if we were to simplify, yes, gay frog. It makes the DOJ makes the frogs gay.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess I'm kind of self-conscious of the fact that we don't have any immigrants or people speaking for that, group on this episode. I'm thinking I mean, maybe 10 minutes ago would be a good stopping point, but barring that, I think this will be a good stopping point for us. Yes, so Billie Jo Gillispie, thank you so much for all of your experience and sharing it with us. Derek Sheen, if I ever need to know about maybe anything, I may turn to you. It was shocking and upsetting how well you knew your stuff. Cori Stewart, as always, my rock, my co-host, my rock in this journey to.
Oh, a bridge over troubled water. I will lay me down.
It's crazy.
I love weapons. Oh no.